Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Oh, whoa. Got you there. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Special edition prior to the Big 12 opener at Kansas State on Monday night. Happy post ho Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays Sunday, and happy almost time to ring in the new year. See you later 2024 Sunday. It's going to be a Sunday when I bring in the guys, the crew, the squad. Well, we're going to look back at the year that was and forward to the year that will be. And we're going to also take a look at the Big 12 basketball squads. That every single one of them, a little quick glimpse into what is to come. So without further ado, the squad is here. -1, adding the additional one. So without further ado, it is Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, and Keegan Nickoson. Gentlemen, how are we?
Good. I have not left the premises of my house since Friday afternoon. It's been glorious. We all the food was here. I didn't have anything else to do. Had to watch the Bengals game because I got radio with Tony Pike tomorrow. So yeah, I haven't done anything in 2 days. I'm getting a little antsy. I think 2 days is about the max that I can turn the machine off.
Right.
So it's good that we're going tonight, that I can, get some brain function going. But I'm doing good. It's been probably my most calm weekend since, like, I don't know, maybe this exact week last year.
Let's take a step back. How weird is the week in between Christmas and New Year?
It doesn't exist. It's not a real week.
No, especially this year, because it's a Wednesday and then a Wednesday. It's literally the most diabolical week out there. It's like, all right, I'm just gonna eat.
It's the best day for Christmas. Wednesday. Yeah. That's the best day for Christmas.
Right. But what about New Year's?
Got it this year.
Do we agree on New Year's?
Not the best. Like, normal people have to go back to work probably on Thursday.
Yeah.
The best week for New Year's would be Thursday, right? Because then you can just take Friday off.
Don't worry about Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got a nice 4 or 5 day weekend,
Yeah. I mean, all my clients are like, are you going to be back in the office on Thursday? Friday? And I just keep saying, like, I don't know, man. But Monday, probably not. Tuesday, probably not. But I'm available, I think. I mean, it's hard. This week is hard. Like you said, it doesn't exist. I'm over here just eating everything, drinking everything, doing whatever. Just wall to wall with sports that aren't really there until we get a little basketball tomorrow night. So, I mean, hey, how about those Bengals, though? Aaron, how are we? How was your Christmas? Chad, how was your Christmas? I heard about it on BCJ Pod, but tell the BBP faithful how it was. Okay.
It was good. Didn't, I'm not, nobody buys me presents anymore. So I don't, I got some, my dad and stepmom got a nice haul of Omaha steaks items. Okay, stocked up the freezer with those, so that was good. Kelsey did well. I was wondering what the disappointment would be like, because that child got a very expensive Christmas gift. She just got it in November.
Right.
So I was waiting for her to throw a fit that she didn't get a lot of stuff for Christmas. But
how did you remind her?
Every day. You got to see Taylor Swift. That's why there's, not 100 presents under the tree. Yeah. And she was okay with it. So it was fine.
There we go. Aaron, how are we, sir?
I'm good.
Christmas in the rear view. Yeah.
Yeah, Christmas was fine. Glad that's done out of the way. We did my family Christmas in Indy a couple weeks ago, and then we just had the 4 kids and Rachel and I here on Wednesday, and open gifts and all that. So it was fine. Good. But this weekend I got my gift from Rachel, and we had a VRBO, little Verbo action down in Mount Adams. And we got to give the kids to my mom, and then my sister took them one night as well. And we got to actually be adults without kids for the first time since probably since before we had Brennick's. So that's been like 2.5 years. So we had a lot of fun. We went to the Bengals game yesterday and went and had a nice little steak dinner with some wine and wine tasting and what have you on Friday and all that. And yeah, drove home through a monsoon today. So
what does it is it weird to go back from the adulting back to the now adulting in a different kind of adulting?
It was nice to have a little vacation from the kids,
right?
But we were of course excited to get them back. So
wow,
you weren't that excited.
I like when those two little girls look at me excited to see me, and like the one she's only 6 months old and she's like starfishing herself, like she doesn't know what to do with all of her excitement. Yeah, I was excited. Come on, man.
And that's when the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes, right there.
I don't get that reaction from Kelsey.
Well,
I'm usually a few 4-letter words, some profanities attached.
Well, Aaron, I'm proud of you, man. You brought home a Bengals win. You're gonna cheer on the Cats tomorrow night. The Bearcats, that is, not to be confused with the other one.
You almost got in a bathroom line fight.
Heard about that? Yeah. Okay, let's put it out there on the main waves. What you got? You still got it in you, Aaron? Is that right? Still packing a punch?
No, I've never. The only time I've ever been in a fight in my entire life was in college. I just choked a kid out for cursing at my girlfriend at the time. Just choked him out, right? And then his friends were like,
"Did he tap?"
No, he went to sleep. I put him on the ground and I said, "I'm sorry" to his friends and walked away. Left.
Statute of limitations. Continue.
He didn't assault him. He just gave him a nice nap.
Yeah. Amen. Well, Keegan, how was Christmas? How are we, brother?
Christmas was awesome. Dad made the same thing that he made for Thanksgiving, which is like this Cajun smoked turkey that he gets from Costco, and then he smokes it for a few hours in the Traeger. Very good. Question, a mashed potatoes question for you gentlemen.
Ready.
Are you a smooth or kind of chunky mashed potato fan?
I made some Friday night homemade mashed potatoes. I prefer the handheld masher, so a little bit more organic as opposed to you get the handheld machine and smooth them out. I don't care for them super smooth.
Okay.
I like them to have a little bit of chunk because then you know that they're actually homemade. And I'm gonna get real crazy if there's a little bit of skin in there still. Let's go.
Funky.
Yeah, I used to leave the skin on. Kelsey and Kelly hated it too. Like, kind of requested that I take the skin off.
Yeah, like a red skin.
I would prefer.
What are we?
Yeah, like if it's a russet, you take the skin off. But like a red skin, I think that skin is delicious. Like I prefer to leave the skin on a red skin mashed potato.
Yeah.
What's so funny, Keith?
A white monster at 8:14 p.m.
I would see. For me, it's all about a little butter on there, a little cheese, maybe a little gravy. I like to doctor up my mashed.
There we go. Okay, respect it.
Are you a garlic mashed potato guy?
Oh yeah, get it.
Yeah.
Get it.
Oh
get
yeah.
It, get it organic for me, man. Get that bougie style out there. I'm in.
Oh.
Keegan, what was your answer to that question?
People are going to be tweeting out. I can't believe they went 10 minutes on the intro.
Oh, hey,
I like smooth.
New Year's show, y'all.
I like smooth, but I'll eat a chunky. But He made awesome food. And then my fiance's mom, who spoils me on Christmas, basically got me an entire new wardrobe. And just letting you know, 2025 will be the year of the Q-zip for Keegan Nickoson.
Oh,
I got a
wow.
lot of Q-zips.
There we
So
go.
expect to be seeing me in some Q-zips.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a big Q-zip guy.
Look at
I'm embarrassed for you calling it a Q-zip.
Q-zip, quarter zip.
I know what
Yes.
it is. I can put two and two together, but I've never in my entire life heard it called that, and I'm embarrassed for you for calling it that.
You've never watched a Manning cast then, because that's all they call it. Is Q-zips.
Accurate, because I have anything else to do.
Q runs like Sat talks
Mhm.
about Q runs.
With the Q zips on. Yeah, watch out. What is it? GQ. We have Keegan in the Q zip. Wow,
There we go.
2025. Here we go,
Wow.
baby. 2025. Well, you know what? Yeah,
I got hoodies, so it's gonna I got a girl dad hoodie from Kelsey. That was pretty dope, from little Barstool hoodie, and then just a couple plain my hoodie collection. It all has teams, right?
Yeah,
Like mostly from home field. I've got a bunch of UC hoodies, and I've got a Marshall one, got a UCLA one. So I got
big
some
win for the Bruins. Big win for the Bruins.
Yeah, big win for the Bruins. I thought that game was at night, so I missed it completely. I thought it was like I guess they replayed it on FS1 at 8:00. So when I was scrolling through, I was like, oh, sweet. Like Bengals will get done at like 7:30, like perfect timing for UCLA and Gonzaga. And no, I missed it.
Nemhard had a Cumber blunder light, if you will, from the Colgate game. Whew, man, not to bring back any scaries there, but fired it up with 4 seconds left on the clock from half court. Probably could have taken a couple more dribbles, but hey, you know what? That's for the UCLA pod. We're gonna dive into the Bearcats here. Well, first off, though, first thing you gotta do in 2025 is just get your car fixed. Just do it. Just do it. Not even gonna do some funky little segue into a crafty way to introduce Danco transmission out of care. I'm gonna tell you to go there. Get your car fixed. Get an oil change. When's the last time you got one, Brent? I don't know. Very long time ago. And then I went to Danco and I got it fixed and I got everything looked at. And they said, daggone, your car looks great. And I said, thank you, sir. I love you, Danco Transmission and Auto Care. $10 off the next oil change, 10% off your next fixing. Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Guys, what are we thinking? Do we dive into a Big 12 look? Do we want to take a look back in 2024?
You're the host. You're the host of this show.
I'm opening it up. Opening it up to the team. So let's first do this.
Aaron said I'm out.
The near future. Yeah, and Aaron's done. Aaron's done.
Son.
Grinch's heart shrunk back into that small size.
You're a mean one. Did you know the guy that wrote that went to CCM?
Wow.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Didn't he write like 8 different songs? Or that's the guy that, well, who knows? Maybe he did. But
who knows?
Short future is the Kansas State game tomorrow. That's the reason why we are on the airwaves tonight on Sunday night instead of our regular scheduled Monday night game. And the guy below me just recently put out a nice little preview for the Kansas State game. Last week, we kind of brought you a recap of the non-con, gave you everything that we needed to have as far as what we thought in the 10-1 start. But now it's a 6-5 Kansas State Wildcats. Probably the most disappointing team in the Big 12 through the non-conference slate. If you guys disagree, then I'd like to hear a rebuttal. Maybe Arizona has an argument for themselves, but boy, oh boy, you look at K-State's schedule against what they were expected, and you start to scratch your head a little bit. So before we look back, let's take a look at the very near future. Tomorrow night, Kansas State, as John White 17 says in the chat, only 3.5-point favorites. Ken Palm thinks it's a little different. He's got the Bearcats as 5-point favorites, winning 72-67. K-State 90th in the Ken Palm rankings. That's the second lowest team in the Big 12. Only Oklahoma State Yes, there we go. Stephen Chanel already rocking in the chat on a Sunday night. I love it. But guys, initial thoughts. Big 12 opener tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at Kansas State. Little surprised with the lower spread than what Ken Palm has, or is that kind of just a road game, first test type scenario?
I'm really worried about Coleman Hawkins. I mean, what can't be said about that guy?
Wow. Yeah. Fair point. Well, what can't be said? Do you want to tell me a little bit about him?
He's not. I mean, they're paying him $2 million for this year, and he's under 10 points a game. So, I mean, he's Kansas State is they're one of the, like, these type of teams worry you going into conference play. One, they've had 9 days off. They've lost to every top 100 team that they've played. So, the last, 6-7 days have not been very kind in practice with Jerome Tang. They do have talent. Like, I like their roster for the most part. They've got 3 or 4 pieces that I think are very much like, middle of the pack to higher level Big 12 quality. It just hasn't turned itself into wins at this point. So you're getting a wounded animal that's looking to essentially start fresh to open the Big 12. You're getting them at their place. I guess the good part is you probably won't see a big student turnout for them. Students are on break. They're not back yet, and the fan base isn't exactly thrilled with the product. So you wonder what kind of crowd they're going to have. But I do think this is kind of like a danger zone. It's the exact opposite of going on the road to BYU last year. BYU had a target. Like, they were ranked. It was an opportunity for Cincinnati to do what I'm talking about K-State's going to try to do, where they're going to try to hit the reset button and, try to forget about what's happened to them in the non-conference. It's interesting. I obviously Cincinnati is playing better. I'm not ready to say Cincinnati is clearly a more talented roster, because I do think, like, they have the pieces to be good. They just haven't figured out a way to be good yet at this point.
Yeah. Keegan, you have the preview posted there on bearcatjournal.com. Go check it out if you haven't already. Kind of a dysfunctional squad, like Doug McDaniel. What's going on there? Only played 5 minutes against Wichita State. Kind of, you lurk on their board. You see he's in the doghouse, this, that, and the other. He was supposed to be one of the leaders of the team. And then you see a Chor kind of dismissed from the team. He was supposed to be a little bit of a piece coming in for them. It just seems like, obviously falling quite low of the preseason expectations that they had coming into the year, where they were picked 8th in the preseason poll. Just, I guess, your thoughts after doing a further dive on Kansas State.
Yeah, it's not going great for a team when their coach is getting snippy after press conferences. And I watched the Wichita State press conference, and Jerome Tang got a little spicy with one of the reporters because it was back-to-back games. I think it was back-to-back.
Was it Brad Chendel from the Topeka Times?
Yes.
Might as well have been. They didn't use the word funk, but they offended them either way. But he was asked, like, hey, this is 2 straight games where the deficit has been pretty small at halftime, or it's been a close game at halftime, and then you lose by like 20 plus. So
Wichita State spanked them. Was like, I was shocked at that one.
So, like, how is that happening? And Tang said the other coach made better adjustments at halftime than we did. And then followed up, like, how does that happen twice in a row? And he's like, because it's been 2 games. I was like, okay.
And he's like, we're never playing at Wichita State ever again.
And then you have other people saying that rivalry needs to be renewed consistently. So it's just all, it's not going great for Kansas State. I think what Chad said about it being scary is definitely true. And what Aaron said about this being an opportunity for UC when we were on the show last week, this being an opportunity for UC to get on the right track and get going. Kansas State is probably thinking that times 5, just the momentum swing for the entire season that a home win over Cincinnati could do just to build your momentum. I'm not completely sure about what's going on with Doug McDaniel. I know he's been coming off the bench, which is probably a surprise, given he averaged 16.3. Yeah.
If it's a surprise to anybody, it's a surprise to Doug McDaniel. I don't think that's what he signed up for.
And then, I mean, Coleman Hawkins is a really good basketball player, but he's supposed to be around probably the 17, 18-point mark per game, and he's at 9.2. And a lot of that is because he's 50% from the free throw line. And this team is bad at shooting free throws. You think UC was bad to start the year. This team has been worse. So I think this goes to favor UC. I think the Ken Palm line is probably more true, but I understand the spread being 3.5 when UC's on the road test. They lost by a decent margin. So let them prove it again, and then you can kind of go from there.
Aaron, you've had a nice little dive into the Big 12 conference and whatnot in the nightcaps. What's your pulse on just this K-State team heading into tomorrow night?
Well, we haven't done a dive into the basketball portion, really. We've just kind of looked at scores. So if you want to ask me about football from the Big 12 this season, I can tell you that. But I did not follow any of the non-con for basketball because life.
Okay. So, all right.
Very informative.
Yes.
You're welcome. It was better than making some stuff up that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Wasting anybody's time here.
Oh, you're being serious. Okay. Well, K-State.
Very serious.
They obviously, if you remember Coleman Hawkins, Bearcat fans might remember him from a little game that they played a couple of seasons ago when Coleman Hawkins was at Illinois. And I believe me, guys, Hawkins had a game he wanted to forget. Played 23 minutes, was foul-ridden the entire time, only scored 2 points, and Illinois got upset by the Bearcats. And then pretty crazily, the very next game, he played his future team, Kansas State. And obviously, the rest is history. You hear all the off-season discussions about, the money coming out of the portal and NIL to him. And obviously, that puts a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths when he doesn't have the type of start to the season that people kind of want when they offer that large amount of money to a player coming in. It's going to be a good barometer test for both teams. Keegan, I agree with what you're saying as kind of K-State's the team with their backs against the wall. And Tang's probably literally forcing that upon his guys, letting them know, hey, listen, guys, let's just wipe the slate clean. Non-con was horrible. We looked like crap. Let's just start with a win in the Big 12, see if we can't, make some magic happen. Because, boy, I tell you what, on paper, just the way the season has started for both teams, Cincinnati should absolutely win this game. If the Bearcats are a team that everyone thinks that they are so far through the non-con, especially us on this pod and everyone around the program, this K-State team is just not very good. They're letting scoring by Villanova transfer Brendan Housen. He's just a 3-point flamethrower, 6'4". Mm-hmm. You got to think you can kind of D up on him. He hoists up a bunch of shots. And we all saw David, I'm going to butcher his name, Nickoson, I believe.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. Right.
I'm guessing. David, I'm guessing, maybe. Yeah. But even he was kind of a role player last year, and then all of a sudden he stepped up his game with, second on the team in points per game and whatnot. He's probably their most effective guy.
Right, exactly.
He's good.
He is good, and he's obviously very efficient. Gets a lot of his points at or near the basket. He's going to really be a good guard for. I imagine that's who they're going to put. I would say Dylan on and guessing, and then Aziz on Hawkins, or would you flip those two around? I just feel like,
I'm not sure on that.
yeah,
I'm not sure which way they go on that. Like, I'm honestly like genuinely interested to see like which way they go there.
right.
Because Hawkins wants to play a little bit more on the perimeter, which you would think would be more Dylan,
Mm-hmm.
where Nickoson kind of wants to do his work around the rim, which would make you think Aziz, but I could see it either way.
Yeah. I don't know. I just Keegan. This just is a game where Cincinnati should go on the road, handle business. Chad, as you mentioned, with it being kind of this, off time in between the two holidays, the crowd might not be that big. Obviously, you go on their board and it is all downtrodden about the team. It's not a lot of sunshine and rainbows over there. Keegan, this is a good chance for Cincinnati to open conference play and kind of announce like, hey, we're here. We're not messing around this time.
Yeah, you just have to take care of business. I mean, if they want to get to the 15-5 mark, which was my bold prediction, you have to win the games you're supposed to win. So doing that on the road in Manhattan, Kansas, that could be one of the easier road environments, just given the circumstances, given that the students aren't back, given they're 6-5. If Kansas State was ranked and the students were there, that place, even if the students weren't there, that place would be absolutely crazy, because I know that fan base loves their basketball team, loves their football team. But I think Tang has to be feeling the pressure, knowing that a lot of decision makers are going to have a very short leash on him, because he was all but gone to Arkansas before he said, hey, give me a bunch of money and I'll come back and coach for you guys. And then he spent that money and now they're 6-5. So this could be a very, very formative season for Kansas State if it continues down this path. So, I mean, one of the hottest coaches in the country the past few years. And now it's looking like it could be
disappointing last year.
Yeah, that's what a lot of them have been saying. A lot of the fans have been saying, like, without Marquise Nolan, Keontae Johnson, what have you done?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you had a guy that was left over from the previous regime.
Yeah.
Who wasn't really thought that highly of. And then a guy that really nobody else would touch because of his medical situation. And kudos to Kansas State because he had an incredible final season. Like, that's not to take away anything that those guys did, but since then they've spent a lot of money and haven't produced a whole lot of results on the floor.
And that's not to say that getting Hawkins was a bad move, because anyone would have taken that kid. I mean, there were some major players coming after him, and he could have gone to the draft. But I mean, it's just not working at all. At all.
No. Hawkins obviously is one of the main people who had his number kind of opened up to everyone, and kind of one of the ones that was known on Twitter.com, the website for everything you need to know, and it was just broadcast very loudly about what 2.2 or 2.1 million dollars for Hawkins for 1 year. I think that was more so a situation where obviously he's one of the last ones to sign. And when you are one of the last ones to sign, as we saw the last couple of cycles, it's like, okay, well, teams get a little desperate. K-State had money to throw around and they threw it at him. And now he's on their team averaging less than 10 points per game when he should have been coming in as the leading scorer. But I digress. It's
also funny that after he entered the portal, he was like, I'm never playing in the Big Ten again. And I won't go to a Big East school because I want to enjoy a football game.
Yeah.
So that was why he chose. One of the reasons why he chose Kansas State was because that he wanted to enjoy a football game. But they didn't win their bowl game, did they? No.
Yeah,
no, they did.
They came back and won.
Yep.
Who did they play? Rutgers?
Rutgers, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yep, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, we'll touch on that too. Did you guys talk about the Pop-Tart Bowl again? Did Did you do that on the nightcap
That
at all?
was
Golly,
awesome.
that's fun. That right there is fun. I want
Yeah.
to try a bite of that mascot. I love
I
mascots.
added that.
Did
Yeah,
you
to my-
see the Pop-Tart ice cream sandwiches they had in the press
Yeah.
box?
Wow.
I added that to my
Yeah.
bucket list of games to cover right underneath Rose Bowl, Super Bowl, and Final Four.
Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Pop-Tart Bowl.
Bringing back the Eaton Pop Tart was the most insane thing I think I've seen in the history of bowl games.
And then they just put him in the top section completely alone. It's
Awesome. It is awesome. And well, maybe the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Love to see Scott Satterfield get a bunch of mayo thrown all over him. It'd be kind of fun after a big win. But yeah, I just kind of wrap up Kansas State. I hate to put this much pressure on it. Obviously, I don't think anyone's going to hear it in the program, so it's not really much pressure on them. But this is a game that you win. It's a game that you say we are the ranked team. You are the team that is spiraling. You are the team that can't figure it out. A team like you said, Keegan, they were up 4 at halftime at Wichita State, and they just got blown out in the second half. Same thing happened against St. John's. It just right there with them at half, and then just get your doors blown off in the second half. So
this would be a good game for Cincinnati to shoot it well from 3 for the first time in a month.
And K-State allows a high percentage from 3. So
yeah,
it just all things kind of line up for Cincinnati to take advantage. Like defensive rebounding, K-State is 223rd in the country. Crash the glass hard. I mean, what the only thing that they seem to be good at is it looks like they offensive rebound pretty well. They shoot it decent from 3. I don't know. It just everything really just shouts to, hey, go in, handle business, get a win.
If they are who we think they are,
right,
they find a way to win this game. I mean, that's a team that it's not beat. They played 5 top 100 opponents. They're 0-5.
Yeah.
Or like right at top 100. So go on. I mean, especially you've got Arizona, Baylor, Kansas on deck. Like, if you're going to stay mathematically where you need to be, this has to be a win. It has to be a win.
Will it? We'll see tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. How about that? Is that?
And then immediately after the game, there will be an aftermath
rehash
with Aaron and I.
Yep.
To talk, to discuss, to rehash.
Aaron will know way more to say about Kansas State by that
way
time.
more to say about Kansas State.
He will know everyone's name on the Kansas State roster.
Not true. Not true.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your honesty. I hope you can really help us out a little bit on this Big 12 preview that we're about to dive into. Now that we talked about K-State basketball. I guess I just want a broad overview. Obviously, Chad, you mentioned this kind of opener to the conference season. The slate, we kind of mentioned it preseason. Like, I mean, K-State's a top 8 team in the preseason poll. They have the potential to be a tournament team. Kind of just looking from the outside in. All of a sudden, they haven't been looking that good. Then you play Arizona at home. Arizona's a top 10 team preseason. All of a sudden, they've dropped a bunch of games that they, you would think they would probably have won coming into the year. Then, obviously, you've got Baylor on the road again, and then that big game, Kansas coming home. Just overall, your broad outside look, because obviously the whole question coming in is who's the better conference? Is it the SEC or is it the Big 12 who's reigned supreme for years and years? And I think the answer obviously is the SEC this season. But as far as it goes for Big 12 and the slate that Cincinnati has, especially right out the gates, your pulse on the conference as a whole, Chad and Keegan, and then Aaron, if you want to drum up some awesome response, I'd love to hear your input too.
Keeks, go ahead.
Pulse on the conference as a whole, I think I don't know if it's the Big 12 being bad or the SEC being good. Because the SEC, what do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in the top 20 of Ken Palm.
Mhm.
And then the Big 12 has 1, 2, 3, 4. So, I mean, coming in, everyone was thinking that the Big 12 was going to be the best conference. I still think they have the ability to be the best conference. But I would say Kansas State's kind of been maybe the lone disappointment.
Yeah.
And then there's just been some subtle movements with other teams.
Arizona's been a disappointment.
By how much? What do they drop to?
I mean, the metrics don't say that they're all that disappointing, but the results do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
preseason
24 in
pick
Ken
fifth.
Palm. They started 8.
Yeah, I think it's more so. You would have wanted to see them probably win. Probably that home game against Duke, but Duke obviously looks to be great. I think the main thing is like not only are they losing, but they've looked pretty bad in some of these losses. Like Wisconsin on the road, Wisconsin shot like 50 free throws, and Arizona didn't look that good. Then at home, they didn't really give Duke a fight at all. They ended up losing by 14. You kind of want to see them maybe win that game. Then, of course, you lose the 2 of your 3 neutral site games against Oklahoma and West Virginia. Then you got UCLA, who UCLA looks pretty doggone good. So, I don't know. They just really haven't done much, obviously. Kind of looks like the K-State slate as of right now, but I think they are better than Kansas State.
I mean, their best win is over 108 Davidson.
Yeah, right.
They thumped 120 Samford. But I mean, they handled Central Michigan. Their game tomorrow night against TCU is going to be an interesting one. Yeah. I don't think TCU is very good.
No, I don't think so either. It's as a whole, I kind of agree with you, Keegan. It's like SEC being as good as they are, which people are saying
the SEC is outstanding.
Possibly the best conference ever. So
let's
it just means more, Chad.
I mean, did they not watch the Big East in 2012?
Right.
They just didn't. Their TV didn't work in 2012.
It's definitely comparable. I mean, they might break the record for most teams getting in. Obviously, you have huge conferences now, so the team numbers kind of change. The Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore, so they could probably beat that, but I don't know. I think the SEC being really good kind of downplays the Big 12 a little bit, but I still don't think that there's any night that you can take off in the Big 12, if that makes sense. You could probably say the same for the SEC. I don't think you can for the ACC, obviously, or the Big Ten for the most part. So, I don't know. I think the teams at the top are still the teams at the top, and I think Cincinnati though has a good chance to really knock down that door that preseason we kind of said those upper echelon teams are kind of in a realm of their own. I don't think that distance is that far now that we see the non-conference slate get in the rearview mirror.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how they beat up on each other and how that impacts their tournament numbers. Because if you're just going on conference versus conference and the non-con, yes, the SEC could have the most teams ever. But then when you start losing to SEC teams, then it gets down to the 8 or 9. So that'll be really, really fun to watch. But I mean, it's a good year for college basketball, period. A lot of all the blue bloods are good. UConn's kind of come around. Villanova's a blue blood, and Indiana is too, and they're not looking too hot, are they?
No comment.
But yeah, so I think SEC is good, not exactly the thing of Big 12 being bad. And I'm just really, really excited to get into the conference slate because it's so fun. It's so fun.
Oh, it is. Did you guys have a surprise team in the non-con from the Big 12? I've got two in mind. What do you think? Arizona State and kind of West Virginia until DeVries got hurt.
And the only thing with Arizona State is, I mean, what's their biggest win is probably St. Mary's.
Right.
You know, they definitely didn't. They don't have any bad losses. Their only two losses are to top 10 teams in Gonzaga and Florida. The Gonzaga game was close. The Florida game, not so much. But yeah, I think it's fair to say Arizona State, based on, you know, where they were expected and where they've kind of landed at the end of the non-con. I do wonder, as young as that team is, what the rigors of the Big 12 is going to look like for them, you know, because all it takes is a little bit of falling off the cliff in February, and next thing you know, you're on like a 6-game losing streak.
Yeah.
I mean, what? They've got a stretch in the middle of February: Texas Tech, TCU, Houston, Kansas State, like, you know, just one of those stretches where, like, if you're not playing well, all of a sudden you drop 5 in a row, and what looked like, oh man, these guys might be a little bit of a surprise, and then they're, you know, 13th
Right.
out of 16. West Virginia, Javon Small's really good. Tucker DeVries is really good. Like, you know, we've known about Javon Small for, it feels like, a decade now. How good he can be. So, you know, they're about, I guess, where I think they would be. It'll be interesting. Have you heard anything else on DeVries? Like, when do they expect him back?
Okay. Still that out indefinitely ordeal, which is the most gray, you know, moniker for any injury. So it's just like, all right, sure, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I guess you could consider Texas Tech a little bit of a surprise, but they haven't beaten anybody else either. You know, their two best games were losses: Texas A&M and St. Joe's. St. Joe's is 88 in Ken Palm. So
Colorado?
No. Yeah, I guess you could consider them a surprise, given that, I mean, they lost a ton.
Right.
A ton. But Tad Boyle's
their UConn
really
win
good coach,
was big.
man.
Yeah,
Tad Boyle's a really good coach. Like, he's gonna get the best out of his guys. He's one of those, you know, he could take his and beat yours. He could take yours and beat his. Like, he's that good of an in-game coach. So they're surprising because it didn't look like they were going to have a whole lot of talent, but he's going to figure out a way to grind out some wins.
Yeah. And then don't look now. Our boys, the Madsen twins, man. Those Utah Utes. Gabe, second in the conference in scoring behind Small. And he is hoisting up triples. And so is Mason. Every time Mason checks in, it's 3 attempt after 3 attempt. Obviously, Baylor kind of has, you know, the funny thing is all the teams at the top have no bad losses. There was no really bad losses for anyone in the non-con.
There weren't as many good wins as you would like.
Right, exactly. It was just the lack of good wins, especially for like Houston, Arizona, obviously. Kansas had some good wins, but then of course they dropped 2 weird ones. It's kind of that one weird week where else it would be the surefire number 1 team in the country. I don't know. It's kind of strange. Keegan, you have a surprise team in the Big 12 or maybe a slight dark horse type vibe?
I was going to say Utah. The first one that I kind of clicked on, which Aaron said, was Texas Tech, but they just haven't really moved around enough, and the losses are tough with no really good wins. But Utah was 82nd in Ken Palm to open the season. They're now 64. Lost to Iowa by 7 on a neutral court. Lost to St. Mary's by 9. Lost to Mississippi State by 5. Semi away. And then the metrics, I mean, they're top 50 in 3-point percentage and 2-point percentage. They're the 14th best team in 2-point percentage defense. Effective field goal percentage is 16. So, I mean, they play complementary basketball. That's a team that I could see sneaking into the tournament if they can just play consistent ball throughout the conference slate.
It'll be fun. There'll be plenty of storylines to talk about as the season wears on. So it all starts tomorrow, which is why we are here tonight. So anything more as far as Big 12 with? Chad, I heard you guys had a little talk about kind of how many players you think might land on, first team all Big 12 for the Bearcats and whatnot. It could be a scenario where if they are kind of that team that reaches that top tier of teams, maybe they have 3 on the second team, all Big 12. You know what I mean? One of those scenarios where no one really scores enough to be up on that higher group, but there's enough good players where you get CMOS, you get Dylan, you get Dan on the second team, you get Aziz on the third team type scenario. So that's kind of where I landed on that. And Aaron, McDavid wants to know your thoughts about West Virginia. Let him know that
I want to know McDavid's thoughts about West Virginia.
they've got to score, man. They've got a legit score, and then an injured Tucker DeVries. If he gets healthy, then who knows? But yeah, if we got nothing more on the Big 12 and basketball as a whole, we can go ahead and timestamp this and rock and roll on.
I mean, I've got a lot more, but
Yeah. Well, then let's hear it. Let's open up the treasure chest.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. I guess the question we didn't answer, though, is who wins the league? Who goes into the Big 12 tournament as the 1 seed?
Houston.
I'm going with Iowa State.
Houston.
Aaron, who you got?
I think there's a good chance you're right, Keegan, but until they find somebody that shows they are ready to step up and fill the void, I can't put them as number 1.
Kansas.
I've
Here's
watched
why I don't think
a lot
Kansas.
of Kansas.
Here's why I don't think Kansas. Hunter Dickinson is a compiler. He's not a winner. He hasn't won anywhere that he's been.
But he's got like 7 years of college basketball experience, more than anyone else in the conference.
But he hasn't won in any. He was at, like, those Michigan teams were very average, he was putting up monster numbers. He was putting up monster numbers last year. That team was not great. They were not as good as they should have been. Now you got another guy and AJ Storr that is also a compiler, that is also not a winner. I don't think they have a lot of winners on that team, Aaron.
I don't like Iowa State, so there.
What don't you like about Iowa State?
Their colors.
That you picked them to win the league. That's what he doesn't like about Iowa State.
The reason I think Iowa State, their defense is nasty. Their offense is better than it has been.
Offense is actually really good this year.
Yeah, offense, they're not as boring this year, Aaron, as they have been.
Can't wait to get into that conference play.
I mean, Iowa State's the epitome of they've got the number 3 most efficient offense in the country right now.
Yeah.
And if you watch that Auburn game, that was back and forth the entire game. I mean, I think they look the best in the conference consistently.
I do too.
As far as Houston goes, it's weird because they return a lot of their core, but I feel like they're still trying to gel, and it's just like the post, shed years. Obviously, they have all these players that are kind of there, but it's like, okay, well, when is Milos Uzan going to step up and have kind of that big game? I think in one of their losses, I think the Bama, like everyone fouled out for them. They had like no one, and they were still right there in overtime. So I can see.
Here's my concern with them. Here's my legit concern with Houston. They played 4 games away from the egg pie center.
Fertitta,
the Frittata Center, the Egg Pie Center. They're 1-3.
Yeah.
That,
right.
In a league where you've got, if you're going to win the conference, you got 10 games on the road. You're going to have to win some games on the road. They're 1-3 in the 4 games away from the Baked Egg Center.
Yeah. I mean,
they played the best team in the country.
Okay.
A team that went to the Final Four last year, and then their bad losses to 39 and Ken Palm San Diego State.
True or false? They have played 4 games not in their home gym. They have lost 3 of them. I mean, but that's right. Like that, you don't get the in this league, you don't get the excuse of, well, they played good teams, so yeah, you're gonna have to go win on the road against good teams in this league. That's all I'm getting at. I question. Without Jamal Shed, game on the line, on the road, are they going to be as great as they have been? I don't think so, which I think they're going to be 14-6 in the league. Like, they're still going to be awesome. I just don't know if they're like that. You look at them and say Final Four team right now.
Well, they still do that extreme grind out game where, obviously they just wear you out on defense and just force you to make tough shots. They still do that. But then on offense, they do the same thing. But they had Shed last year who late shot clock scenarios, he's able to go and either get fouled or go and get a bucket. And Cryer does that, but he's like can't do it every single damn play of the game. So
that's the real problem. It's Cryer kind of fills that Shed role, but nobody backfilled the Cryer role.
Right. Agreed. And so I think that they'll obviously figure it out and be right there at the top of the conference standings the entire. It's going to be the homer in me, but I really don't think Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati has the best betting odds right now to win the Big 12 because I don't think that it's a surefire lock for anyone. And I think and they're that team that's like 4th or 5th in the betting odds right now that has a pretty wide margin on the odds. So if you want to get sneaky with it, then get sneaky with it, guys. Kansas has the most talent top to bottom, but they lost to Creighton and Missouri in the same week. That those losses can pile up as we've seen before. So Zona is weird. Baylor has some good guards, but like Baylor's a weird team right now because I think they're
Baylor
trying to
sit down and guard you with the game on the line.
Right. I mean, you watched that St. John's game; they needed a prayer for that one to pull out. It was just
they're 85th in defensive efficiency, 6th in offense, 85th in defensive efficiency. Can they, in an important game, can they get enough stops?
Yep. And that's a similar.
Look at the comment. Like, what are we talking about? He just came in and wasn't listening and then assumed that.
Bearcat 101. Yeah, we can talk about Iowa State. They
have stupid colors. Stupid colors.
Aaron
Bearcat, if you came in late, Iowa State was the first team mentioned when talking about potential Big 12 champions. That was Chad's team. So that's why we're laughing.
I mean, I watched a lot of Iowa.
He took responsibility.
Okay. I watched a lot of Iowa State, and Sean Gilbert is a dog. He's a stud.
Lipsy had like a shoulder injury, and it's just now like their best player hasn't even been good yet.
No, Not
and
at
they're
all.
one of the top 3 teams in the country. They are terrifying. That group, the way that Otzelberger's teams defend, being number 3 in offense, oof.
Yeah.
Now,
It's all
Chad,
at 101. I'm just playing with you.
Chad, if Kelvin Sampson had his way in the offseason, would they be your
He'd
team?
have Chisel James as his point guard.
I tried to go around it, and you just
I'll just say it. He'd have Chisel
Now
James
that
as his
would be
point
a
guard.
scary Houston team right there.
Yeah,
That would be.
it would. It absolutely would.
Yeah, it's just I think it's more open than people think. I think Iowa State's probably the answer, but I think they lost some key pieces that they had in the post that defensively kind of were their rocks. But boy, their guards, they can get buckets. Gilbert's a bucket, man. And he
Jones is incredible.
Curtis Jones can score too. Yeah. No, there's no doubt about that.
I like Kelvin Sampson because I asked him the most generic recap the game question last year, and he talked for like 8 minutes. So
He
he
enjoys
makes my
talking.
job very easy.
Yeah, and he loved Jizzle because he was like, Jizzle, isn't that just fun to say, guys? Jizzle.
He went Charlie Coles, like full Charlie Coles. Remember that?
What a weird
Cashmere.
audio clip that was.
Yeah.
You know you're gonna be good if your name is Cashmere.
Yeah.
His parents knew he was gonna be good. They named him Cashmere.
Yeah, but Kelvin literally saying, how fun is that to say? Jizzle.
Jizzle.
I was like, okay.
I can imagine saying
right.
that a lot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So weird.
But yeah, let the redemption tour continue, man. Already took down Xavier, already took down Dayton. Did beat K-State last year, but that was kind of a weird game where they were up double digits the whole game, and then Taylor Perry
Yeah. Tyler
went
Perry.
went on a freaking tear in the second half. But here we are. But yeah, that was a nice little post timestamp continuation.
Yeah, we had. I
it.
remembered as I was reading the timestamp that we hadn't picked a winner.
I like it.
Who do you have, Brent?
Cincy.
Iowa State.
And
Oh, you're
Cincinnati.
going
Let's run with
Bearcats?
it.
Bearcats win the
Let's
Big
run with
12?
it. Yeah, let's run with it. I think Kansas might do it because I watched a whole bunch of Kansas, and boy, they are just stacked with talent. But like you said, I how about this? I've got a bold prediction. Whoever wins the league, they're going to have the Big 12 Player of the Year on their team. So,
Oh, wow, really going out on a limb
What
there.
a bold prediction.
well, no, I mean, you could just say, well, no, okay. If Houston wins, LJ Cryer. If Iowa State wins, Gilbert. If Kansas wins, Hunter Dickinson. I guess what I'm saying is the Stars need to play well for that team to win it. So I guess that kind of makes sense. It's tough to win unless CMOS goes off for like 20 a game in the Big 12. Something along those crazy lines. But I don't know. Either way, I'm excited. Tomorrow night's going to be fun. 7 p.m. And then you've got a whole host of a bunch of Big 12 games. Cincy, I think, has the best game. Pretty biased opinion there. But either way, it all fires up tomorrow. And speaking of firing up, I'm excited for a little riffing with Nickoson that we're about to dive into right now.
Oh god.
Sorry, I had to get the Captain Obvious.
Just talked right through it.
He did. He didn't even let it bother him.
No, not one bit. I'm a machine when it comes to these scenarios.
Fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative, our good friends at New Riff produce award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. The Aquafire Tasting Room, located on the 3rd floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery exclusive releases. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% on distillery tours when you use the code Bearcats24. For more information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com.
Miss you, Ryan. Miss you, Royer. I miss you, man. Take it away, Keeks.
All right, Riffin with Nickoson. I think it's like volume 3 total. I think I've done this. I think I did it before.
Yeah, you did.
So this is kind of hitting on the surprise team thing that we just talked about in the Big 12. But which team in the bottom half of the Big 12 in Ken Palm has the best chance to make the biggest push in conference play, either getting into like a top 5 team in the Big 12, getting into the tournament, that kind of thing? Which team gives you the most confidence? I'll list them now. West Virginia, Arizona State, Utah, TCU, UCF, Colorado, Kansas State, Oklahoma State.
Oh, wow.
Can I go with none?
I mean, yeah, that's
yeah, if you want to.
It's a rough little scenario.
I mean,
right
I think I'd feel pretty good about West Virginia if we knew the status of DeVries. Like, is he going to be back? When's he going to be back? Johnny Dawkins still coaches UCF, so I can't go with them. Seems like a really nice guy. Seems like a really nice guy.
Oh no!
Am I wrong?
Here, what if I phrase it? What if I?
That's kind of the problem with the league right now. Like Houston, Iowa State, Kansas, Texas Tech, Cincinnati, Baylor, Arizona, and then maybe BYU. Like their resume is not great at this point in time. But anybody below that, like the bottom half of the league, I don't have a lot of confidence in.
And Demon's been hurt. Has he come back yet? I don't even know. I don't think he has.
8 games.
Yeah, and he
has not played in their 3 most recent games.
Right, and who knows how long he's out for? That's a lottery pick that I'm sure going to be pretty smart with him. Wow, that's a tough one. I'm going to say Arizona State. I just think, when you have they did challenge themselves a lot in the non-con. I know they lost their 2 toughest games, but I mean, like Santa Clara is a good team. Grand Canyon on a neutral court, that's a tough game. New Mexico, St. Mary's, they challenged themselves. So I'd say out of those bottom group, because it's not very good. Yeah, it's weird to think about. I'd go with Arizona State.
Chad, let me ask you a question before we get to Aaron. Do you think the Big 12 being I swear. Do you think the Big 12 being bad is kind of not bad, but worse than what we expected? No, worse than what we expected is kind of what Brent just said of the lower 8th, the lower half not performing as well as they should be, like being rather disappointing and not solid.
I mean, I think they're all solid. Everybody except for Oklahoma State's in the top 100 in Ken Palm. I just don't think there's as strong of a middle as there has been. That's where the league really got like into a meat grinder, is that 6 through 12. 8 to 12, 8 to 4, even all the way down to like 13 or 14. Like, there wasn't anybody you looked at and thought, man, this is this matchup really favors the team ahead, the team that's favored in Vegas or whatever. I think you're going to see a lot of this year. I think there could be some separation between the top and the middle. Yeah. Especially at like once you get to like 9, I just don't see a lot of those teams really being teams that can consistently jump up and get the top 8. That's where I think last year was really different, is, on any given night, 9 through 12 could jump up and beat number 1 or number 2, and nobody would really bat an eyelash. Like if we're talking about, TCU gets a couple big wins or Colorado gets a couple big wins, like I think that's going to be surprising.
Yeah.
Where last year it really wasn't.
I do think road games are still going to be tough.
Sure.
Because
Sure.
I think as a whole in college basketball, no matter what, road games are hard. Natty Ron keeps mentioning UCF. Yeah, they had the win against Texas A&M opening night, and then it's they're just a weird team. But still, they'll be a tough out. You know, they lost to Wisconsin and LSU. LSU is not good. But they're in the SEC, so they're good. It's just I don't know. I don't think that there's many. It might be Utah. Just the fact that they shoot the ball well, to the point where it's like, okay, they get hot some nights and they surprise some teams. But I think overall, I'm going to still go with Arizona State as my answer.
But then Utah's going to be cold on some nights, and
right.
Sorry, Aaron. My bad. Aaron, go ahead.
Proceed.
Aaron, who you got?
Quick thought on Utah.
Which was Brent's second thought after he had already given his thought. I still wasn't ready to go, so. I'm going to say Colorado, largely because they did upset UConn and had Danny on the floor crying, as he did several times during that tournament. They also played Iowa State. While they did lose the first time in Maui, they have to play Iowa State 2 more times. Beating a team 3 times in the same season is insanely difficult. You could potentially see a 4th matchup even in conference tournament, which is bananas. So I think for Iowa State to beat Colorado 3 times, I don't see it happening.
They did win by 28 points, though. They
okay. In Maui. I mean, it was in Maui.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I think unless your coach is really terrible, and it's not Johnny Dawkins out in Colorado, you're not. I don't see Iowa State getting 3 on Colorado, and I think that win is going to be huge for Colorado.
Yeah, I just don't know that. I don't know that Colorado has the firepower. I like Julian Hammond. He's had some big games, but he's also had a couple stinkers. The 3 games that he scored in single figures: Eastern Washington, Harvard, and Pacific. So those could just be didn't play a whole lot of minutes because they were winning big. But he did score 20 against Iowa State, 16 against Connecticut, 15 against Michigan State. Can shoot the 3 pretty well. So he would be their go-to guy. Just worry about consistency over a 20-game schedule with him. But to your point, Aaron, he's certainly good enough to jump up and give you a night where he can carry them across the finish line.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Kansas State just purely off talent level. I'm going to say they figure it out and they get to, 20 games, 11-9 in the Big 12, maybe?
And the
right,
collective
10 and
Bearcat
10.
community gets a little nervous for tomorrow night after Keegan's proclamation.
Never be comfortable. Okay, next question. Which former football player would fit the best, have the biggest impact on this upcoming roster in 2025? And you cannot say Sauce because that's the obvious choice.
Well, then what the hell kind of question is this?
He said
still saying Sauce. Marty Gilliard.
Okay.
Give us finally like someone to return kicks. Please.
Oh.
Let's get a little bit of excitement, and then a guy that can just game break on offense for Brendan Sorsby with next to Joe Royer. There we go. McDavid, you're on the right path, brother.
I'm going to say Brian Cook. With the safety looks that this team has, and just looking at just how much he's done. Yeah, see, Lambig's got me.
Yeah, put him at the star and just let him just
I'm saying, I think
headhunt.
in this defense, I think that he would probably thrive even more than he did here in Cincinnati. So I think that Brian Cook, as with the dreads, Brian Cook, Predator, Brian Cook, yeah, nasty.
I like where your heart's at. I think I would go with a different guy.
I think I know who you're gonna say. I think I know
The ultimate winner,
Defoe.
Oh no, never mind.
Defoe, Derek Forrest. Although you could make a case for, I don't know, a first-team All-American like Mike Mickens. If you want to look at safety, Haruki Nakamura back there laying dudes out in the 3 safety look. But I think I will go, like, I think Derek Forrest just had something about him, like the way that he connected with the locker room, the level of effort that he played with, his football IQ. I'll go Defoe. Plus, he's just randomly at times when I'm like, hey, you want to come on? He's like, yeah, I'll come on. And then he's come on and chopped it up, and he's one of my favorite Bearcats, so I'll go Defoe.
I said James Wiggins there too.
But if
You want to know my problematic answer?
Ready
God,
for it.
here we go.
Deshaun Pace. The star. It's right down. Lead the team in tackles. No, that's not my actual answer. My actual answer would be Alec Pierce, because if you saw what he did today, they could really use that guy. Throw it 40 yards down the field in double coverage and just come down with it. That was nasty.
I think
stuff.
as far as glaring needs still on the team, Majay would be a fantastic.
Yeah.
Majay would have been my next. Like, just the sheer disruption alone, Majay would have been excellent.
I mean, I'm surprised you guys aren't liking Marty as a pick. That's a Heisman top.
That's almost like, if we can't take, you can't take Marty either if you can't take Sauce. Like those are offense, defense. Those are the 2 obvious answers. Or how about Jerome Ford?
Yeah,
Isaiah P.
that'd be a good one.
Yeah, Ford would
Shit,
be
I'd
nice.
take Mike Warren right now. You'd have Thunder and Lightning with Mike Warren and
Evan Pryor.
Evan Pryor back there. Yeah.
Yeah, you could never go wrong with the truck.
Yeah. Good question, Keeks.
Thank
Keep
you.
him coming. Oh, Derek Wolf.
Oh,
That'd be a good one,
Derek
too.
Wolf.
God, he was just so fun to watch on the D line for the Bearcats.
Certified crazy person.
Also a friend of the show. So yeah, Wolf might, or Barwin. Barwin would be another outstanding answer.
Yeah.
If you're looking for pass rush.
Desmond Ritter never lost at Nippert.
He did never lose at Nippert, and Scott Satterfield has done
Lost it at Nippert a couple times.
done more than that.
Okay, now non-sports related. I feel like you guys would have pretty hard and fast opinions on this question. If you could eat one food for the rest of your life and it has same impact on your body, this isn't like health, nutrients, anything. One food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Pizza.
So, like,
So,
Hard and fast.
does it have to be like you know, if I want something like pasta, it has to be a specific pasta, or can I just go like pasta? Because I can make pasta 500 different ways. I
Just
could make
pasta. It's made out of the same stuff.
right.
Generally.
Yeah.
You can
Like
say
a-
pasta.
A pizza can be
Yeah.
Mexican. It can be cheeseburger pizza. It can be white sauce pizza. It could be pizza boat. It could be pizza, anything. A dessert pizza. Pizza.
I think I would go pasta.
Okay.
I think I would go pasta.
Keegs, what you got? Fried chicken?
No. I'd probably go
Chipotle
no.
in Vegas.
That's healthy.
Just
Aaron.
give me a nice medium rare ribeye.
You know how many places do that in Vegas, Keegan? All of them. All of the places.
Gosh, Keeks, you're making me want a
I
little
know. I
steak
got
right
one my first night there. It was very
Mhm.
good.
I don't even know that you
See-
brought that up. All I heard was
See, but like
Chipotle and laundry.
Chad, back me up here. My like semi fat body tells me in my mind, hey Brent, steak's good for you. So I don't like really see the calories in steak. Like when I eat it, I'm like, I'm getting protein. This is good for me.
You
Well,
are.
I mean, I'm sure you go with like a lean cut, like.
Oh no,
you
I go
know.
ribeye. Oh, I go ribeye, baby. That marble. Big old
Uh,
And then I had a quick bonus one. Might not
Right.
hit because I don't know all of your guys' like sports fandoms in terms of professional teams, but which team winning a championship would mean more, the Bengals or the Reds?
Reds.
I'm also Reds.
I've always been much more of a baseball guy.
Okay.
And I watch the Bengals as a comedy and not a drama. So
I'm not
Aaron,
even
this
a
is
Bengals
a
felt
big
bad
one
fan.
for you. This is a big one for you, Aaron.
It's the Bengals for me. I was alive the last time the Reds won a championship, so there is that. I have that going for me. Also, I want the Castellans to sell that team so badly. Just
I knew
with every fiber of my entire being, even more than I want the Browns to sell the Bengals, which I don't even know is that high anymore. It's still, I think Mike Brown's just going to expire before they figure out how to actually run the damn team, and that's a situation that takes care of itself. But the Reds ownership, they're not going anywhere, and get them out of here.
I knew someone was going to bring up the Castellinis.
Not friends of the show, so it's a safe space.
Enemies of the show. Yeah, I think for me it's more so about like I want to say Reds because then you have a real fun summer, but I think for me it's Bengals because I was like so close to having just an awesome time, when they were in LA last. So I think I'd say Bengals. Still,
There's nothing like a playoff baseball game at Great American Ballpark. Oof. White towels. Yeah.
I went and saw them against the Giants. That wasn't a lot of fun.
Were you at Game 5?
4.
I was at Game 5 when Posey hit the grand slam. I started crying. It was fun.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
Oh, very good.
You started crying?
Yeah, when I was walking to the car, I was like 11 years old. I was with my friend and he judged me. He literally looked at me. He's like, "Are you crying?" I was like, "Yep."
Speaking of crying, speaking of crying,
that was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
How old do you think I am? That's 13 years ago.
that was the joke.
Well, speaking of crying, I am sad that Ryan Royer's not here, but he did text me.
Were you guys texting?
Yeah, he was texting me. He's like, "Hey, brother, I cannot run that same thing back saying that I think it's Sunday because it is going to be Sunday, and we are going to have the show on Sunday." So he said, "What's the best thing I do?" I say, "Wait until Friday. Wait until Friday, then think about a text and then send it on Saturday and say that you have a family function and you can't make it." So he did that. So shouts to Royer, taking the boys' advice. He said, "You mind asking this one thing on the BBP?" I said, "Sure, what is it?" And he said, "What is the number one superstition or superstitious thing that you do as the ball drops on New Year's Eve, ringing in the new year? Is there a tradition that you do? Anything out of the ordinary? Is it the first New Year's kiss? Is it washing your hands with money? Is it eating grapes? Is it watching the ball drop? What is a perfect New Year's Eve into New Year's Day for you, the BBP? Thoughts?
It used to be kissing my wife, but that's a little. doesn't go over the same. I tried it last year. It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Unreal.
We're here for you.
You know, life changes, Brent. It's different.
Yeah.
You got to adjust.
I'll give you an air kiss from miles away, brother.
All right.
Well, that got weird. I feel like I'm a third wheel right now. I don't really have any superstitions for New Year's. I don't. There's nothing I have done every year for any specific amount of time. So I don't know. Whatever.
You don't wash your hands with money. With
Is that a thing people do for real?
Yeah.
No, I would never
money
do that.
in the New Year.
Weird.
You not slam pots and pans outside.
I did when I was a child.
Well,
I do have a food.
Okay, here we go.
Hoppin' John's. Hoppin' John's is considered to be the sign of a good New Year. And Rafferty's in Florence, which is like one of my go-to favorite restaurants. They make it a couple times throughout the year, but they always make it on New Year's Day. It's rice and black-eyed peas and sausage, peppers. It's really, really good. They make it like a soup.
I'm glad you described that because I thought you said Papa John's, and I just was very confused.
Hoppin' John's.
Is order a tasty medium Papa John's with garlic butter.
No, it's like a southern dish for good luck heading into the new year.
Pickled herring is one that my family does for good luck. Disgusting, but we do it.
He forgets I can just add him back in.
Keeks, my friend.
I'm not kidding. Right when you mentioned New Year's Kiss, I hovered my mouse over the remove from stage button because I knew exactly what was coming. I don't really have any traditions for New Year's. I kiss my fiance. I feel like I have drank champagne every year for the last 4 or 5, but that hasn't really been on purpose.
You dog.
But now that is something I guess I could start doing, having champagne.
There we go.
But I've never even heard pickled herring as a superstition.
Right. Yeah. It's in sardines. It's just well, and then there's the one where you eat how many grapes? 12 grapes before the bells do the final toll for 12 midnight New Year's. It's supposed to bring you good luck. Yeah. Wash your hands with coins, guys. Come on. That's
not real. I refuse to believe that washing hands with coins is real. I will not.
Bob does pork roast and sauerkraut on New Year's Day. I've done that once or twice in my life, but again, just nothing with any type of surviving.
That's on New Year's Day itself, right? Right, Bob?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Jason, same thing. Here. Pork chop, sauerkraut, and apples.
We're all here. I am excited.
Yes, Natty Ron. I said black-eyed peas. Black-eyed peas are delicious.
Yeah. Fergie's a great singer. But yeah, it's here, guys. Getting ready. It's gonna be a good night. But it's here, guys. New Year's. We're gonna talk all about it on the next PvP, baby. Yes. A little mix of Fergie and Jesus, right, Lampig?
Right. Voice of an angel mixed with Jesus.
Yeah. A little Fergie and mixed with Jesus. But yeah, let's go ahead and timestamp this real fast then.
Thank God.
That was great, you Riffin.
This timestamp, mercifully, brought to you by our good friends at Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Aaron, Mailbag still pretty light?
Unless more stuff has been added in the last hour. Yes.
Okay. So let's just real quick. I don't want to take too much time on this because Chad, you and Dave kind of did this a bit on the BCJ pod, kind of just a quick look back at 2024. I want to go around the circle. I want to hear from each one of you guys a highlight, like a high time in the year 2024 for each program, whether it be the basketball team, the football team. You can do a couple. Kind of sometimes maybe it's a game, maybe it's a commitment, maybe it's a scenario that you think back over the last year and you're like, hey, this was a pretty cool time when they announced Dante Corleone returning to the starting lineup after he came back from blood clots in his lungs. That was a pretty cool time in 2024. Around the horn, a couple things that really stick out to you as we wrap up another year of Bearcat Sports 2024. Think of the past. Keegan, Aaron, Chad. We could do one and then pass it off right away. You can do two, however many you want.
It was a bad year.
It was not the best.
It's not a lot of highlights. Keegan, you're first. Brent said you're first, so you're
Chad,
first.
if you got one on the tip of your tongue, let it fly.
I would say just the cumulative finding out that Jizzle, Dan, Seamoss, and Aziz were all returning, and that the Bearcats would get their core back for this fourth year of Les Miller in an era where that is not not common practice.
Right. Yeah, that was a really good one. The highlight.
Winning the Crosstown Shootout for the first time in 6 years.
Yes.
In those dope-ass jerseys.
Yeah, baby. Elephant. Get it out there. Geeks, yeah. Let's keep
For
it
me, highlight of the year as in the entire 2024, not just this most recent season.
2024. January 1st to December 29th.
Because we're about to shut the door on 2024, Keegan. It's going to be shut. Can't open it back up. Yes, Bob, you're on the right path.
I would say so. Second place, Dylan Mitchell committing, just because that put them over the top, and this team can be really freaking good. First place, coolest game I covered, coolest moment. Seamoss's buzzer beater against San Francisco coming off the pick and roll was awesome. That was pretty sick.
That was awesome.
So I would say that was probably the highlight of just a moment. That would be my winner. I know it was an NIT game, but still it was awesome.
Bob, that road trip to the Fog was fun.
Boy, how would you know? You were asleep the whole time.
Hey. They drum up some conspiracy that I slept the whole time. Come on.
Just the whole ride home.
Bob knows I was
in Bob's seat.
Out of the back when you kick Bob out of the back seat.
I was locked and loaded, baby. Had a blast. I liked the Big 12 tournament mini run that the Bearcats had. A 16-point deficit against West Virginia. Seamoss and Day are unconscious from 3. And then they beat a team called Kansas, a pretty historic team called Kansas by 20 points. Aaron, what was the big storyline that everyone says is really bad about that 20-point win against Kansas?
You mean when they tried to take all our players, or
no, like the storyline why people say it's not a good win
because they were hurt.
They had 6 players.
Aaron, can you name 2 players that were hurt?
Why are you picking on me right now?
That's because I'm just proving a point. Because as the years go on, it's still going to be a 20-point win against a team called Kansas. That's it. And that's all. They still did it. 20-point win over Kansas was fun. But that trip to the Fog, Bob, you are right there with me. Football, boy, that last month and a half sucked, but it was fun seeing Joe Royer top Travis Kelce's single season reception record for tight ends. Cool to see Corey Kiner go out there and be a dog, back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. it's about promise leading into 2025. But as far as things go, as well, Chad, I think you mentioned on the BCJ pod the whole Hall of Fame class, pretty special.
That was a fun night. It's a good night.
Seeing a lot of those high,
and then Marty on the BBP. That's got to be way up there.
All timer.
5 questions. That was all we got to ask. 5 questions in 2.5 hours. 3.5.
Your boy B
An
Young
entire Bengals game.
Your boy
whole
B Young
game
rattled after that.
B Young. I've never seen B Young more rattled during a podcast in my entire life.
Yeah. Yes. But shouts to Marty, man. What a guy. What an absolute guy. But yeah, I think Keegan kind of nailed it on the head too. Dylan Mitchell committing was massive. And I think another name that's pretty awesome to see was Sean Abayev when he committed. Kind of just the buzz, the excitement around that. And then Thanksgiving. Aaron, your thoughts?
I was just going to say Travis Kelce also graduated this year and made a huge, giant fundraiser out of the whole damn thing.
Yeah, the New Heights. That was pretty awesome. Keegan, your thoughts on the New Heights? You got to ask Jason Kelce a question. That was
that might have actually been. Now that I think about it, that was probably number one moment. The New Heights live show. That was a different kind of experience.
Yeah, one that you'll never have again. Not like that. Not like that.
No.
Not like that. They're just everything that they had that they got to do. Jason lost his Super Bowl ring in Chile. Who saw that coming?
He would do that again.
Kylie probably saw that coming. Kylie was probably like, "Do not put your ring in the fucking chili, you moron." And Jason was like, "It's fine. What could go wrong?" Putting a $10,000 Super Bowl ring in a sock and throwing it in a swimming pool of 3-way.
Probably way more expensive because it was his. Like
also true,
Jason Kelce's. Yeah.
Just wait for that thing to pop up in a pawn shop one day.
Right.
Down here at the pawn shop.
Yeah. LL Cool J. So I think also it was pretty cool in the mix with the whole win in the crosstown shootout, Aaron, was when they did the whole announcement of Royer coming back after Dante announced he was coming back, after Sorsby announced, the re-signing deal and whatnot. So Grippo's Bearcat barbecue chips. Wow, quite the submission by Tony Corelli. Tell you what, I do kind of like the raspberry.
Tony. I'm not a big raspberry guy.
I kind of like it. Once you get past chip 10, you're like, these are pretty good.
Once you get past chip, once you've eaten half the bag,
yeah,
they're not bad.
These ain't half bad. But yeah, I think the main storyline for
unless Grippos wants to sponsor like the mailbag, and then
no free ads.
Like I love them. Then I love them. Then they're great.
Yeah, no.
But
free
until
ads.
then, they're all right.
No free
Grippos,
ads.
Grippos, hit me up.
Hit me up. Hit the line. Yeah, but I think the main thing about 2024 is that's a YouTube exclusive right there. YouTube exclusive. But yeah, I think main thing about 2024 is about what can they do with the foundation that's been laid out there for football. Obviously, we heard about everyone continuing to grow the culture within the program. They need 2025 to be good. And then basketball, you start the 2024-2025 season off strong. Can you continue this forward momentum for the movement in 2025? So I'm excited for what 2025 has to bring, guys. That's all I got to say. Let's have ourselves a happy New Year.
All right, let's mailbag it.
Let's mailbag it.
Great. All right. So we'll start off in the football portion as we always do. Would you accept a 7-5 record, another 2-win improvement, and bowl eligibility if you knew for a fact that another 2-win improvement was in store for 2026? That would be a 4-year rebuild to get to 9-3 and a potential appearance in the conference championship?
– That's a tough.
Not everyone all at once.
So
Yeah.
he's saying then you would go 9-3 in 2026.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. I kind of want more, but that's obviously asking for too much. If within the next 2 years, I guess you're just middle of the pack in the Big 12.
If Cincinnati finishes at 7-5, it's going to be difficult to quiet the fan base, the portion of the fan base who wants Scott Satterfield not coaching the Cincinnati Bengals or Cincinnati Bearcats any longer.
7-5 is going to be. That would be a tough one. It'd be a tough sell. I mean, I guess it would depend on what the 7-5 look like, but
Right. You have a couple ranked wins in there. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Because sheesh, those 5 losses down the road were tough. Those are, you got to bounce back from that big time. Because what? Say you come out the gate strong, you beat Nebraska, you win the rest of your non-con games that aren't going to be difficult, and then all of a sudden you got to muster up when you're going to lose 5. You know what I mean?
All conference losses.
Yeah. Or do you open out of the gates losing against Nebraska? Then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, man. Ugh.
But then you finish 6-4 in conference.
Right.
yeah. It's tough, man. It's that because I think everybody just looks at it and said, okay, well, like the goal was 6-6 last year. We're not lowering expectations for next year because you missed it. Right. So the expectations are going to be 8. If it's, I mean, if it's 8 and you get 7 and you go to a bowl game and you're over 500, like I think people would live with it. I think they'd be a little unhappy, a little displeased still. But I think people would be tolerant of 7-5. Especially if we know because we made the deal with the devil, we know 9-3 is coming.
I don't love it. I don't know that 9-3 would be enough to in year 4.
Oh, shut up. 9-3? Shut up. Come on. 9-3?
Wait.
Yes, we would love 9-3, but I'm saying
Oh, he froze.
if you had to deal with 7-5 and you got a coach essentially on lame duck status. Anyway.
If you're not happy with 9-3, what are we doing?
9-3 playing in the Big 12 championship game. I'll take that 1,000,000%. Like, which would be probably where you're at. Which not a bad place, but yeah, I think that 7-5 would be the hurdle.
It's worth mentioning that 2026 they play Boston College in week 1 at home. So assuming that's a win, the 3 losses would be Big 12 losses, as long as you beat Miami at Paul Brown. So I don't even know if that gets you in the Big 12 championship, but it's a damn good season.
True. Good point. Good point there.
Yuck. What was the most encouraging thing you took away from the season, most discouraging, and so far during the offseason, what has been the most encouraging for the future and disappointing?
Go ahead. Encouraging. I think the most encouraging is kind of easy for me. It's how much we saw the defense improve over the back half of the season. You started to see the concepts and how it's supposed to work, I think. you know, just the overall evolution of Tyson Vite's defense, I think was ultimately a good thing. So that was the most encouraging for me. Discouraging, the offense falling apart. I'll let you guys go from there. I don't want to take all the good answers.
Encouraging for me was seeing the ceiling that Brendan Sorsby can tap into of when he's playing his best ball. He's a top 5, top 8 quarterback in the country. Discouraging for football season. Still very disappointed from corners and safeties and pass coverage. At times, miscommunication and poor plays, explosive plays need to be limited.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Aaron.
No,
No,
you
go
got it.
Well, just real
We're
quick.
cutting off Aaron all night.
Sorry, I was on another screen. I didn't see that you were starting to talk, Aaron. I'll just be real quick. For me, as well with the defense, I think you didn't see the team quit. Really, I think you probably couldn't say the same thing a couple of years ago. That's the encouraging part. Discouraging part is just score the damn football. Like, come on, like down the stretch, it just got worse and worse and worse. Like, figure out a way to get the ball in the end zone. That's discouraging. Okay, go ahead, Aaron. Sorry.
I would say with Corey Kiner leaving, for me, the most encouraging thing was that we saw Pryor have some big moments. And so I think that there's certainly some things that you can build on there. Discouraging, the lack of turnovers by this defense was certainly discouraging to me. And that's really hard for me to say, considering how much I hated the fact that we didn't throw the ball more than 12 to 15 yards, I think, for the entire second half of the season. At least that's what it felt like. The most encouraging part for me of the offseason has been adding a ton of dudes. If you strike out on 1 or 2, you still got like 5 more receivers, I think. We picked up what, like 16 receivers, right, Keegan? We've gotten 16 of them.
4.
Yep, we'll take it.
Yep, close. That's what I said. 4, 16, same thing. It's right there.
I knew it wasn't 16.
I know.
And disappointing. I think I personally have wanted to see probably a little bit more on defense. So I hope that there's still some additions coming there. So
Yeah, I think they're well aware they need to go get another DB, probably a safety. They need to get a pass, somebody to come off the edge and kind of disrupt passing offenses. So I think you'd be right there, Aaron, that they still have their eye on some defensive additions.
all right. Thoughts on Wisconsin trying to block a kid from transferring?
I don't know enough about this. I guess the kid signed an NIL deal, like to commit to staying, and then after he signed the NIL deal, tried to leave. Like, that's kind of shitty if that's really what happened. I don't know the full story on that. Like, I if I were in that situation, like, and the portal closed yesterday, like, you committed to coming back, you signed your contract to come back. I didn't think I had to fill your spot as one of the best players, or, you know, one of the better players on the team. And then the day that the portal closes, you show up wanting to transfer. I'd be pretty heated about that one as well. I think I might fight that one a little bit too, if that's actually what happened. That's what the rumors I've heard.
All right.
How would you feel if like Royer announced he was coming back at the Xavier game, signed his NIL contract, and then the day before the portal closed, he's like, you know what? I ain't gonna change my mind. I know
the portal.
I know you guys are screwed now and you can't go out and get a number 1 tight end, but you know, I'm out of here. I think you'd probably
I'm
probably be pretty salty.
I'd be salty, but I'm not blocking him from transferring because I don't want a kid to play in my team who doesn't want to be here.
Right. That's a weird thing.
So
Yeah, just make it difficult.
you'd fight. You'd be like Jim Harbaugh with James Hudson. Yeah, I'm gonna fight.
No,
this.
that was just stupid. There was nothing to fight about there. He just didn't want the kid to leave because they knew he could be good.
Oh. Yeah.
All right. That is the end of the football portion of the mailbag. The basketball portion, starting off from Twitter as we opened it up there tonight. Comes from Terry Nelson Burner. As we get into conference play, what do you guys need to from Tyler Betsy? I'm going to assume need to see from Tyler Betsy. Just something he can improve more on during this stretch. How can Tyler Betsy get better?
Keegan.
Freshmen need to get better on defense all the time. So I would just say being reliable and solid on defense. He doesn't need to be a stopper. And then just make those 2 to 3 threes a game. You don't need to score 18 points. When I watched him during the Dayton game, it was kind of a thing where he was running back and forth, getting to a spot on the left elbow and calling for the ball like every time. I think it was like 6 or 7 straight possessions, which I'm sure that's his role in the offense. But just make those 2 to 3 threes. Don't try to force anything. He's getting consistently open shots. Just knock him down. Because I think if there's a player on this team that you expect to make shots and it's not really the thing of, oh, they're just not falling, it's going to be Tyler Betsy and then Simas Lukosius. So,
yeah, exactly what you said. Just focus, just get your role that's been carved out to you and just maximize it to the fullest. Don't lose confidence in your shot ever, because you've shown the ability to knock it down, and then hone in defensively when you're out there. Just scrap your butt off and just make sure that you're in the right spots. And because he's a big dude, as we've seen. He has length and ability to defend when he wants to be in the right spot. I think there was maybe one
only
or two
major
games.
issue is he's not super athletic.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think there was a couple of games in the non-con where it seemed like he wasn't in the right spot and he got beat by his man. And in the Big 12, you let a couple of those happen, that could be the difference in the game. So hone in on the 3-and-D type role that they've carved out for him and just maximize it.
All right. If Chad's got nothing to add on, let's keep
Nothing
it moving.
really, no.
When asking about your relationship with former coaches, a certain UC coach between Wes and Mick was interestingly not mentioned. Discuss.
I have a good relationship with John. I mean, I think everybody here knows I became friends with John in '95, my freshman year at Marshall, when he was a player and I was a student radio, aspiring student radio member at WMUL in Huntington.
The Mule.
The finest sports talk, student-ran sports talk station south of Syracuse, New York. But yeah, I actually ran into him a couple of weeks ago at his daughters play volleyball, so we're in the same kind of circles, and ran into him in a game and went over and sat with him and the family and said hi to Grant and his mom and his wife, and sat there and talked for about 15-20 minutes. So my relationship with John is fine. I generally, if at all possible, do not burn relationships with anybody, because this is a crazy business and you never know. So,
right.
And the odds of him becoming the UC coach again are very small, very, 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 very small. But
he's the number one. He's the number one painter, though, right?
I was gonna say he's in a different business now, a different world.
Yes.
He's got that mailman guy in the videos with him. Crazy.
Non-conference games are finally over. What conference record do we need to have at minimum in order for UC to finally get back to March Madness?
10-10, they're dancing.
Yeah, 10-10, they're in. Although it could be interesting, what 10, because like we said, this is not going to be a super strong I don't think Big 12, where you're looking at, 10, 11 teams that are going dancing, you're probably talking 8. So if Cincinnati's one of them, then only 7 teams are in that get a win over a tournament team. So you're going to need some of those. But yeah, I would think 10-10 gets them in.
Yes.
Yeah, because 8 of those games are B or less on Ken Palm. So it'd be
So if you just win those 8 and you only get 2 from the upper group, you're not gonna be comfortable come selection Sunday.
Right.
Who is your non-con team MVP? We did that episode last week, real stouty. Also, this is the part of the question I think we should talk about. Who do we lean on to be that alpha player heading into the Big 12 season?
I think it changes throughout the game. I think closer is still CMOS. I think if you need a big bucket, like CMOS, I guess the answer, is CMOS. But as far as lean on, like defensively, there's a lot of different options, but on offense, maybe Jizzle, but I'd still say CMOS.
I know he's not the alpha, but I think we've seen that this team is significantly better with Dan on the floor. Yeah, just everything that he does. It probably isn't answering the question, because I don't think you can necessarily lean on Dan, because what he does is out of the ordinary,
right?
Kind of. But Dan is CMOS is the alpha, I think, for sure. But I think Dan is this team's most valuable, most important piece.
Mm-hmm.
I was really nervous you were going to call him the beta.
So alpha is just like you have the ball when there's 10 seconds left and you need 2 points, kind of thing.
I guess that's how I interpreted it. So,
I mean, if it was just like, if I'm hearing the question is who are you going to rely on the most, I'm saying Dylan Mitchell. But if it's this guy needs to be a bucket getter, it might be Jizzle, honestly. Just in terms of getting to the basket, pull up to. I think he can score from more areas than CMOS.
If his mid-range was falling like it did last year, he'd be lights out scoring. He's still averaging 12, and his mid-range hasn't even been half of what it was last year. So,
yeah. I do think you're going to see an uptick from him in Big 12 play.
Yeah.
From Jizzle.
I think it's interesting, though, with Jizzle, just the fact that he hasn't been the guy in at the end of games at this point.
He hasn't.
It's been Day-Day. So
Day-Day.
I guess
some of that, though, like we talked about, some of that is playing. They've been playing with a lead in those situations. So defense is going to come first in those type of, closeout situations. When you're trailing, maybe you lean on Jizzle's offense a little bit more. Are you playing both together a little bit more in that situation?
Be interesting to see who the lineups are in the closing out of Big 12 games.
Yeah. We'll find out. We'll start taking note tomorrow night. Aaron and I will discuss it on the aftermath a few minutes after the game goes final, like 9-10, something like that.
Can't wait. Both Dan and Day-Day have played in only 5 games together this year. If you include Ohio State, we don't, because it was a scrimmage. We are 5-0 in those games that include our toughest competition. Ohio State and Xavier and Dayton. Still not including them because it was a scrimmage. Do we beat either Xavier or Dayton if either Day-Day or Dan or both are missing?
Probably not.
No. If Day-Day's missing, you beat Dayton. If Dan's missing, you lose Dayton.
in his minutes, he made life absolutely miserable for Dayton's offense.
I just think it like if you know going in though, the size thing, I still don't think.
But also, Connor Hickman coming off 1 day off of 104 fever and a lower extremity injury that kept him out of the Grambling game. If you don't have Day and Hickman is
Has to
limited,
play
I don't think you beat Dayton. I'm providing all the context, Keegan.
Yeah, like you did about Houston losing all their 3 road games.
3 out of 4.
both
They didn't win one.
both games though. You did see the Dan impact where he, especially against Dayton,
It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
like how he was just tipping every single like what was it, 5 offensive rebounds in the first segment. Like a lot of those were just like Dan getting a hand on it, or Dayton player having to react to Dan crashing the board. So, and Dan also in the Xavier game had the game winning play. If you ask the coach of that team in Norwood, he's saying that's the reason why the Bearcats won the game is because of that offensive rebound and stick back off a missed free throw. He should have been boxed out, but he wasn't. God, the Bearcats did beat Xavier. I still have that stat.
They're still whining about the trip in the Marquette game.
Sweaty Sean's not in Miami yet.
I'm never taking the stat broadcast down. Probably all season. It's still up. 68-65 was the final score, if you guys didn't know. Yeah. Big time.
All right, that's the end of the basketball portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the last portion, the banks portion. We will start off on Twitter. What UC-related individual would you get a text back from first when compared to the other BBP co-hosts?
Meaning, like, if I texted somebody and Keegan texted somebody, who does Keegan think would text him back before me?
I'm going to say Lenny Stokes.
Aaron's got that one. I'll give you that one. Although Lenny would get back to me. He might get back to you first, though.
I think he would get back to me first, and that's the only reason I said it.
I don't know. I have a few.
Ryan
I only have
Royer.
a few people.
Ryan Royer.
Chad's
I'd
really
pay him.
interested this T. What I'm gonna say.
Well, there's one easy answer, I think, for you, but you know,
yeah,
I think
it's
there's a
kind of
position
under
coach in
wraps.
football that would get back to you before me.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Yeah. And
You guys
the
seem
other
to be
one.
tight. And there's
Yeah.
another. Yeah, there's one other that would get one other will only deal with you.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
I try,
so I just don't bother him.
Yeah.
See, I do bring value.
He doesn't like dealing with you either, though. He just says I'm
know.
dealing with one person and you're it.
Some days he wants to go back and forth for an hour. Some days he says, "Forget my number." So, okay. Other than that, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
The answer's in the private chat.
Wait.
That's
Bingo.
not UC related anymore. That's not UC related anymore. That doesn't count.
It just means more.
Yeah. There we go.
That's awesome.
Oh, Aaron, you there?
Yeah. Did you give an answer, Brent?
Yeah, I said Ryan Royer and Alec Pierce.
You went Ryan Royer.
Yeah. And Steve Logan and DeMar Johnson and Kenny Satterfield and Tony Bobbitt. I mean, Marty Gilliard. Do you want me to keep going? Golly.
I think Marty
BVP
was
secrets
first.
Kenyon Martin.
BVP Secret Santa. Chad gets Royer. Brent gets Chad. Royer gets Aaron. Aaron gets Brent. For the purpose of this activity, we'll just sub Royer's name for Keegan. What gifts are you choosing for each other? Well,
okay, so Royer.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Royer, I would get one of those like screw-in ceiling fans just in case somewhere that he went didn't have a ceiling fan and he could just take his own. And that way he could play the ceiling fan game wherever he went, anytime he wanted, without any concern. Like I don't have a ceiling fan in my living room, but if I had, as long as I have a light fixture, Royer could screw one in and, you know, throw somebody into a ceiling fan. That's what Keegan, easy. Chipotle gift card.
Boom.
Simple. Boom.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
That's my dog.
It would have been Island Fridays, but rest in peace, Island Fridays.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Brent gets Chad. I'm taking a road trip with Chad back to Kansas City area. We're gonna cross over the border back into Missouri, and Chad and I will hang out for a while.
That was a fun drive back to the Verbo or Airbnb.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good ride.
Yeah, good times.
What would I get Aaron? I don't even know.
Diapers.
I'd get you. Oh, now that I think about that,
I mean, that saves you money. You have to buy the diapers. So if he bought you a bunch of diapers, then that would be a good present because you would save money.
We're in potty training, man.
Not for the 6-month-old.
Oh, yeah, she's not.
You still got like 2 years of diapers for her.
You are
fair.
I feel like you enjoyed that Verbo, so I'll probably get you like a Verbo or Airbnb gift card.
Oh,
as a matter of fact, we enjoyed it so much that I think every Christmas we're just going to get away from the kids.
It's a smart couple gift, yeah.
Baby number 5 on the way.
Hey. Wow.
Can't happen. That was taken care of when we had the last one. All right. And the last gift. I'm getting Brent the rosiest colored glasses you have ever seen in your entire life.
Bring it to daddy.
And they're also gonna have like it'll say Cincinnati Bearcats on either arm.
I like it.
Maybe a CPAW somewhere, maybe like at the bottom of the arm.
Okay.
But yeah, they'll be the rosiest color glasses.
Yeah. The ones I permanently have on, they're getting a little rusty. I do need that re-up, brother. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Got you. That's the
mailbag.
For
Royer, I'm getting him a double chunk chocolate cookie. Boom! You know? Golly, guys. 2024. I think of the past. Big game tomorrow.
Wow.
Kansas State. That's right. Go in. Dominate the Little Apple. Come on home. Big game this weekend as well. So, shouts to our guys over at Danco Transition Out of here. Yet again, another fantastic 2024. The full year. You guys were great. Shouts to Quick Paper Supply for supplying all the timestamps. Shouts to New Riff for getting the greatest thing going ever, new riffing with Royer. And sometimes we do new riff with Church Boy Keegan Nickoson as well. He's a good guy as well. My favorite segment. But aside from that, for the guys, the crew, the squad, Happy New Year to everyone. Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Keegan Nickoson. I am Brent Young. Yet another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!